Welcome back, friends. Today's summary is full of excitement as we witness an attempted kidnapping of the president's son and the heroic actions that truly show the loyalty of dogs. So, what happened? Let's find out. The movie starts in a public park with Agent Soren, the head of the Secret Service team guarding the White House. He's sitting with another man, who hands Soren the service file of a dog named Max. The man explains that Max is highly trained and has a military background. When Soren asks if Max is still fit for duty, Max answers the question himself. He bolts toward a man sneaking up to kill Soren, tackles him, and takes him down. We then move to the White House during breakfast time. We see Tiago, the president's son, having breakfast with his dad Maurice and his mom. Tiago complains that he doesn't have friends anymore because every time someone tries to visit, they're subject to a full-body search. So they stop coming. His father explains that these measures are for his own safety and protection. After breakfast, Tiago is heading to school. But before he leaves, he sees Max with Agent Soren. Tiago gets really excited and starts playing with the dog. But Soren makes it clear that Max isn't just a pet, he's at the White House for a specific mission. The regular service dog, Charlie, is on maternity leave, so Max is temporarily taking over. Tiago reluctantly listens and heads off to school with his security team. At school, Tiago notices the way the other students look at him. It's clear that no one wants to talk to him. He's the president's son, and the constant security detail makes everyone nervous. During lunch break, he ends up sitting alone. When he returns home, he heads into the White House kitchen to visit his friend Cobb, who works as a chef. Tiago vents to Cobb about how boring and routine his life is, but Cobb reminds him that a lot of people would love to be in his position. Tiago doesn't seem to care. As he leaves the kitchen, he finds Max again and starts playing with him. Then his dad shows up, joins in the fun, and quickly becomes fond of Max too. He asks Soren to allow Max to play with Tiago, and of course Soren agrees. It's the president's request. Tiago takes Max and plays with him in the White House garden. Later on the news, there's a report about Max describing him as highly skilled and well-trained, with experience in the Secret Service. The report also says that Max has been assigned to the White House for the week to assist during an important upcoming summit between U.S. President Bent and Russian President Vladimir Brago. Brago is visiting to discuss nuclear disarmament. The next day, Tiago goes to school as usual with his security and Max. There, he meets a classmate named Alfred, who invites him to a party at his house that night. When Tiago returns home, he asks his dad if he can go. But both his parents say no and explain that, as the president's son, he has responsibilities. He's expected to be present during the Russian president's visit because Brago is bringing his child Alex, and Tiago is supposed to spend time with Alex since they're both kids. Tiago is disappointed at first, but he ends up agreeing to his parents' decision. When the visit starts, President Brago arrives at the White House. But there's a surprise. Alex isn't a boy, she's a girl named Alexandra. She's about the same age as Tiago. He takes her around, and they go into the busy White House kitchen where Russian chefs are preparing traditional dishes for Brago, especially borscht soup made from beets. Cobb sneaks them each a sandwich, and they head to a quiet room to eat alone. Alex asks what fun things they can do together. Tiago tells her, sadly, that he's under constant surveillance, can't live like a normal kid, and doesn't get to make friends. He even tells her about the party he was supposed to go to. Alex encourages him and says, "Let's go!" They lock Max inside the room they were in and sneak out through the window because the guards are stationed at the door. They climb out, enter another room through its window, and then sneak out the door, quietly making their way to the kitchen. Disguised, they blend in and eventually spot a group of school kids on a field trip around the White House. Tiago and Alex pretend to be part of the group and follow along until they're completely out of the building. They see the students getting on their bus and decide to head off in a different direction to leave the White House grounds. Meanwhile, Max notices what's happening through the window. He tries several times to open it, and finally succeeds. He climbs out onto scaffolding outside the White House and starts chasing after Tiago and Alex. At the same time, President Bent and Maurice are at the lunch table with Brago, and they're forced to drink the borscht soup with him. They politely compliment the dish, saying it's special and unique. When Agent Nelson enters the room where Tiago was, he's shocked to find it empty. He notices the window is wide open, panics, and rushes off to inform the president. Meanwhile, Tiago and Alex are out on the street, having ditched their disguises, heading toward the party. Suddenly, a car pulls up and blocks their path. A masked man jumps out and tries to kidnap them. Alex runs off, and the man grabs Tiago, trying to take him. But Max arrives just in time, bites the guy in the leg, and forces him to flee. Another masked man jumps out of the car and fights Max, and the two attackers escape in their vehicle. Tiago and Alex rush back to the White House. His mom is extremely worried, and Tiago tells everyone what happened, how Max saved him from being kidnapped. He tells his dad that one of the kidnappers was speaking Russian, and that Max bit the guy on the leg. But President Bent gets angry with Tiago and tells him they'll talk in the morning. He sends him to his room. The next day, Bent and his family head to Camp David with President Brago and his daughter. While there, Alex notices that Tiago is acting strange. He's suspicious. After hearing the kidnapper speak Russian, he starts wondering if she and her father are somehow behind it. She tries to explain that she was kidnapped just like him, and she had nothing to do with it. Later, everyone changes clothes, and Bent and Brago go horseback riding. Meanwhile, Tiago talks to Chef Cobb about the attempted kidnapping. Tiago is convinced the masked men were Russian and that someone's upset about the peace talks between his dad and Brago. Tiago begins to suspect the Russian chef and notices him leaving the kitchen with a box. Tiago and Max follow him into the woods. The chef goes into a small cabin hidden in the forest. Tiago sneaks in and finds the chef making secret dough with undisclosed ingredients. Turns out, the chef comes here to keep his recipe secret. Tiago feels awkward, especially when the chef threatens to report him to his parents. But just in time, Alex, who had been following Tiago, steps in and says that Tiago came to stop him because the president is allergic to Russian bread. The chef believes her and calms down. Tiago and Alex leave the cabin, and Tiago asks how she knew where he was. She tells him she's doing her own investigating too. Tiago then asks her who might want to hurt them, and Alex points to a woman named Olga, part of the presidential staff accompanying Brago. Alex tells him she overheard Olga saying that peace talks between Russia and the US would make Russia weak. Later, Tiago and Alex sit at a table near Olga's. They spot one of the Russian security guards slipping her a note. Olga reads it, crumples it up, and swallows it. That confirms their suspicions. Olga then leaves the table and heads into the forest. Tiago, Alex, and Max quietly follow her. They watch as she enters a secret underground bunker. Tiago puts a small camera on Max's collar to record what's going on. Inside, Olga is sitting with the same guy who gave her the note. They're both wearing earpieces and sitting in front of communication devices, clearly sending some kind of secret report. Tiago and Alex realize Olga and the man are spying on the Russian president's chief of staff. But then Alex sneezes, and Olga hears them. The kids run away. Olga later goes and reports them to their parents. President Brago gets furious with his daughter, takes away her phone, and says she's going to be under 24/7 surveillance, especially when she's with Tiago. President Bent also scolds Tiago, telling him to stop spying on people. That's not his job. Agent Soren then informs Bent that they should consider replacing Max with a different dog, saying Max has become too distracted, spoiled, and playful, and isn't focused on his duties anymore. Bent is about to take Max away from Tiago, but Tiago begs him not to. Bent reluctantly agrees, but only on one condition: Tiago has to stay out of trouble. Afterwards, they all go to a waterfall to ride inflatable boats and have some fun. But someone sneaks over and sprays a certain substance on one of the boats that causes it to get holes while it's in the water, aiming to get rid of everyone on board. They do get in the water with that boat and are having a great time, but the area sprayed with the substance starts to make holes in the boat, and everyone falls into the water. Soren, who is above the cliff, notices what's happening and immediately alerts all the units to rescue them. Alex falls into the water, and the current carries her away. Her father tries to save her but can't because the current is too strong. Max spots what's going on from above, runs to the waterfall, and jumps right in front of her to save her. Max successfully rescues Alex from drowning. After they return to the camp, a fight breaks out between the two sides. The Russians accuse the Americans of poor security and not protecting them well, while the Americans blame the Russians. Soren insists that they thoroughly searched the boat and found nothing dangerous. It could have been an accident where the boat hit a rock. But Tiago says he's sure someone deliberately tried to put a hole in the boat. President Bent tells him not to say that again and to forget about conspiracy theories. Later at lunch, Tiago gives Max a note to deliver to Alex asking her to meet him in the garden shortly. Alex reads the note secretly, crumples it, and swallows it just like Olga did before. They meet up, and Tiago tells Alex he suspects Agent Soren might be trying to sabotage the peace talks since he wasn't with them when they fell from the boat, even though he was supposed to be watching them. Plus, Soren doesn't want Max around. Alex agrees and says Soren probably let them sneak out during the party on purpose so they'd get kidnapped. She admits she initially suspected the US was behind it. They decide to set a trap for Soren to expose him in front of their families. The next day, Tiago pretends to be sick in front of his parents, so he won't have to attend the party where his mom will play piano. Alex tells her dad the same thing, that she's sick and can't come. Tiago contacts Alex over the walkie-talkie and they plan to sneak into the party through the backstage area to catch Soren. The party starts, attended by President Bent and President Bragov. Tiago's mom plays piano, and the event is being recorded. Tiago sends Max to distract Soren, while he and Alex sneak into a storage room behind the stage. Someone locks them in from outside. Meanwhile, Max barks at Soren during the party, who follows him. Max spots a masked man backstage trying to climb the rope that holds the large chandelier above the stage, intending to cut it and drop it on Tiago's mom while she plays. Max attacks the masked man, but the man hits him and climbs up, starting to cut the chandelier's cord while threatening Max with a knife. At the same time, Tiago and Alex manage to get out of the storage room and rush toward Tiago's mom on stage to warn her about the chandelier. Just then, the chandelier falls onto the piano, but luckily it misses her by a hair. The masked man escapes. Afterwards, President Bent and President Bragov meet with their families and ask what happened. Tiago defends himself and Alex, explaining they discovered the chandelier was going to fall and managed to save Tiago's mom. He points at Soren and says he's the reason, asking his dad to make Soren take off his shoes because Max bit him on the leg. They do so, but there's no injury. Then Bragov tells his daughter and family it's time to return to Russia, but President Bent says the peace talks aren't over yet. Bragov responds, "If you can't protect your son, how will you protect our country?" Bent is speechless. Later, Soren tells Bent that Tiago is the reason Max has become more of a household pet than a trained security dog. Soren suggests they retire Max from service, and Bent agrees. Soren takes Max and locks him in a cage in the garden. At night, Tiago couldn't sleep, so he went to the kitchen. Before entering, he met Chef Co-op. Tiago grabbed a yogurt from the fridge and ate it while sitting, complaining to Coop that his dad didn't believe him about a conspiracy against them. He also told Coop he was upset because he wouldn't see Alex anymore and was worried about Max. But Coop understood him and told him he did the right thing by saving his mom. He thanked Tiago for being his only friend and said he wouldn't have known how to talk or open up to anyone else. While they were talking, Tiago dropped the yogurt on the floor. He bent down to pick it up, and in that moment, he noticed a wound on Coop's lower leg. Coop saw that Tiago had noticed and decided to tell him the truth. He said he was Russian and that his real name wasn't Co-op. He was there on a mission to sabotage the peace talks. Especially since the people he was working with didn't want Russia to give up its nuclear weapons. They wanted Russia to stay strong under a powerful leader, not someone like Bragov. After that, Coop took Tiago and locked him inside the fridge. Then he called Olga on a video call, showing her the fridge glass with Tiago inside to prove he had him locked up. Olga told him that now only Alex was left. Tiago kept screaming and asking for help from inside the fridge, but no one heard him, except Max, because his hearing was super sharp. Max kept trying to get out of his cage to rescue Tiago, but he couldn't. He kept barking and started digging until he made a small hole. He squeezed through it and got out of the cage completely. At the same time, Olga woke Alex up and told her that her dad wanted her. Olga took Alex and headed into the woods. When Alex asked where her dad was, Olga said she took her with her. Meanwhile, Max jumped in through the window of the cabin they were in, then ran to Bento and his wife, and also Bragov. Max's barking gave them away. Max took Tiago to the kitchen where they found him locked inside the fridge. Tiago told everyone Alex was in danger. Bragov ran quickly to his daughter's room but didn't find her, so he came back. Soren alerted the air units to scan the surrounding area because Alex was still missing. But Tiago had a smarter, faster plan. He grabbed a piece of Alex's clothing and took it for Max to smell. Max ran and jumped into the forest, starting to search for Alex. Meanwhile, Alex managed to escape from Olga but ran right into Co-op. Coop grabbed her, threw her in the car, locked the door, and Olga got in with him. Max arrived and chased Coop and Olga's car, followed by all the other cars. The cars stopped when they reached a waterway. Max took advantage of this and ran alone through the forest. Outside the forest, Max chased Coop, who suddenly found himself in a federal agent's ambush. Coop got out of the car, but Max kept chasing and bit him. When the federal agents opened the trunk, they found Alex sitting on top of Olga, who was unconscious after being hit. Later, Bento apologized to his son for not believing him at first, and promised to make his future happy. Bragov told Alex he was glad she was okay. She told her dad she had only one request: to sign a historic agreement with Bento about banning nuclear weapons. Bragov agreed. Everyone returned to the White House, and the peace conference began under the sponsorship of Bento and Bragov. All the terms of the peace process and nuclear disarmament were discussed in the presence of officials from both countries. After the conference, Bragov went to say goodbye to his daughter and family as he was returning to Russia. He also greeted Tiago and Alex. Max tried to get close to Alex to kiss her, but Bragov stopped him and took his daughter outside the White House. Then Agent Soren told Tiago that Max's mission was over and that they had to take him back. Tiago got very sad because he loved Max a lot. Max got in the car, also sad because he was leaving Tiago after they became friends. But when Bento saw his son was upset, he surprised him with a gift to make up for Max. He took him to a room with 3 puppies and said, "These are Charlie's puppies. Pick whichever you want." Tiago said he'd take them all, and went inside the cage to play with them. And that's how the movie ends. If you liked it, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.